But guess what? It's not how you start, it's how you finish. So always bet on yourself and finish strong. My name is Joy. I'm a business attorney, serial entrepreneur, but more importantly, I'm a mom on a mission. I'm on a mission to share the same blueprint I use to get me back to the bank, to help other entrepreneurs have the confidence, the structure, the marketing skill, and the funding knowledge to get their business to the bank.
Let's go.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. How's everyone doing? Shameless plug, the mentorship event that y'all saw on that video was from the Easy Peasy. So, when you have, when you invest in your brand, things are going to be top notch. So let me share my screen and we're going to hop right into this. Tonight, I'm going to talk about advanced business structure. So we're talking about starting our business with Airbnb. We're talking about event planning. We're talking about digital products. We're talking about making money, but we need to make sure that we're structuring our business correctly and that we're protecting our assets, because in business, something is going to happen. It is grimy out here in these business streets. Don't come out here playing. Don't come out here do-si-doing thinking everyone's your friend. That's not how it goes, okay? So give me a 1 in the comments if y'all see a blue screen that says advanced business structure. Okay, because I will get to running my mouth and, well, no slides be showing. So y'all can follow me on Instagram. But before I get started, there's 2 different types of liability. There's inside liability and there's outside liability. Inside liability means something inside of your business caused the lawsuit. There was a slip and fall. There's a contract dispute. Outside liability means you caused the problem. There was a case where, anyone here have kids? Give me a 2 in the comments if you have kids. There was a case where a father let his daughter drive his car to the mall. She ran a red light and she killed someone. The car was registered in the dad's name, so the dad got sued. They got a $3 million judgment against the dad. He only had $1 million insurance policy, so that meant dad was on the hook for $2 million. The judge seized dad's business to satisfy that judgment. So outside liability means you did something to cause an accident, some kind of liability, and now they're coming after whatever it is that you own. So there is no one thing that's going to protect you. There is no one plan. We want to use multiple tools, okay? And our tools would be insurance. Hold on. I like props. There's multiple tools that we're going to use. We have insurance. We also have different business structures that we can use to put as many layers between us and our assets. So, first things first for business insurance, a general liability policy. If you have any kind of brick and mortar business, your landlord is going to require this. This will protect you in case someone slips and falls. Maybe if you have some kind of wind damage, some kind of hurricane. Errors and omissions insurance protects you against mistakes that you make. So let's just say that you are a life insurance agent and you signed someone up for a policy, but you forgot to mail the policy in and the person dies and they're like, wait a minute, what you mean I'm not covered? And they're about to come sue you and take your insurance license. Errors and omission insurance protects you from any kind of mistakes that you make. Business interruption or business loss insurance is major. This is going to be in case something happens and you can't run your business, the insurance company will pay you. When I owned my salon franchise that I had 10 locations, I don't know if I told y'all this on this Zoom or another Zoom, but I had 5 salons in Houston and they all got hit on the same day. I couldn't sell any kind of inventory for about 60 days. The insurance company paid me for not being able to sell my inventory. So if something were to happen, you had to break in, there was some kind of issue at your building. I had another building where we were in like in a shopping center, and the boutique right next to us, her and her boyfriend got into a fight, and he done burnt the whole thing down. Okay, her little stuff was burnt to the ground, and the entire complex has smoke damage. They had to take everything out, including the fixtures. Everything came out but the sheetrock. And they had to go get all the smoke out the walls. We got paid for not being in business. So business interruption or business loss insurance is very important, especially for brick and mortar businesses, to make sure in case something happens, your cash flow is still good. Key man insurance is going to basically if you have a person who's in your business that if they were to die, it would take me at least 3 to 6 months to replace them. If you are an investor in a business, you want to have a key man policy on whoever's running the business. If you have a business partner, you can have a key man insurance policy on them. So basically, it's a life insurance policy on a very important business partner or employee. Now, some business structure basics. We want to make sure that we are always operating with some kind of structure. I believe there was a guy yesterday, he had a question about digital products, and he's like, well, I don't have to have a corporation for digital products. We don't want to do any kind of business in the outside world without some kind of protection, okay? So this is going to be you. You may have a house, you may have a car, you may have money in the bank. If you're out here doing business as a sole proprietor, as a DBA, you're out here exposing your assets. If somebody were to have a contract dispute with you and they sue you and you lose, they're going to come take your house, your car, the money in the bank. So we don't want that. So the second you're thinking about starting a business, you want to form an LLC, not because it's making all this money, not because it's big, because it's going to separate your business from your personal assets. So you get a contract dispute, you'll lose what the business has, but you won't lose your personal assets. This is called asset protection. You can have an LLC, you can have a corporation, they're going to protect you the same. The LLC has less corporate formalities, meaning less things you have to do throughout the year. If you do have a corporation, you're going to have annual meetings and you're going to have to appoint a board of directors. When you form your LLC paperwork will be called either your articles of organization, your certificate of organization, or your certificate of formation, depending on which state you are in. If you are the only owner of the LLC, then you'll be what's called a single member LLC. A member is the owner of an LLC. If there's more than one owner, then you'll be what's called a multi-member LLC. Now, the registered agent is going to be the person that's responsible for receiving mail on behalf of the business. So you want to make sure that it can be you, it can be your mom, it can be your friend, it could be a company. But the most important thing is the address. So you want to make sure if you've already formed your LLC, but maybe you formed it 2 years ago and you've moved or you are no longer using that company or you're not paying them to be your agent, this address needs to be a current address. I've had a client get sued before and never even know about the lawsuit because she had moved from her registered agent's address and she never received it. And so although she had a signed contract that would have thrown the lawsuit out, she never responded. So therefore, she lost this $10,000 lawsuit, not because she was wrong, because she never even knew about it. Now, there's two types of management styles for your LLC, either a member-managed LLC or a manager-managed LLC. Management means who's making decisions on behalf of the business, who can incur debt on behalf of the business, who can be on the bank accounts, who can borrow money. So if you want to have those responsibilities, and you want to be a manager-managed, you want to be a member-managed LLC. If you want somebody else to have that responsibility, then you would be a manager managed LLC. Most of the time, people are a manager managed LLC when the owner of the LLC is a minor. So if a kid is the owner of the LLC, the kid can't be on a business bank account. They cannot enter into contracts. So normally an adult or their parent will be the manager of that LLC to be able to still conduct business. Now, the simplest place to form your LLC is going to be the state that you're in, that you're doing business. That's the simplest place to form your LLC. Forming your LLC in another state does not give you those state benefits. Okay, so if I'm in California and I'm like, I don't want to pay no state tax, so I'm gonna go file my LLC in Texas because Texas don't have no state tax. I'm still going to pay a California state tax because the taxes are paid where the income is earned. If I'm in California, then I'm earning income in California. So just forming an LLC somewhere else does not give you those states' benefits. Now, this is what the LLC paper is going to look like. It's going to have your name, address, business name. When you are naming your business, you want to make sure that if you're in a high-risk industry, if you're trying to get maximum funding, you may not want to have that high-risk industry in your LLC name. Certain banks consider certain industries high risk based on the high probability of either number one, filing bankruptcy, or number two, having a lot of chargebacks. Okay, so trucking, real estate, credit repair, CBD, tax preparation, all of those are considered high risk. Before you form your business, you want to make sure that your name is available. You want to, of course, go to GoDaddy.com to make sure that you can get some kind of derivative of your name for your website. You want to check social media. You want to check the U.S. Patent Trademark Office. And, of course, your Secretary of State. Now, if you are going to be in a high-risk industry and you're going to have a more generic name, so let's just say I'm going to get into trucking, but I'm going to have, for my LLC paperwork, I'll have my corporate name be J&J Solutions. But J&J Solutions is boring, right? Like, that's not a really good marketing name. I can have my corporate name be J&J Solutions, but I could get either a DBA, an assumed name certificate, or a fictitious name, and I could do business as Joyce Trucking. So your corporate name could be different if you want to mask or hide that you're in a high-risk industry. Maybe you want to have a fun business name because it's really good to market, but you don't want that name on your corporate documents. So let's just say I do taxes. I want to have Torque Up and Shorty Taxes. I can have a really cute, line with that, good marketing. But I may not want to walk into the bank with Torque Up and Shorty Taxes. I can get an assumed name, which will be allow my LLC to do business in a nickname. So depending on your state, it'll call it a DBA for not you, for your LLC, a DBA, an assumed name certificate, or a fictitious name certificate. Now, certain states do allow what's called a series LLC. That's where you'll have one LLC, and it's kind of like little baby businesses in that one LLC. I am not a proponent of that. The IRS doesn't recognize series LLC. The bankruptcy court doesn't recognize series LLC, and every state does not recognize that kind of entity. And I would hate for you to be any kind of litigation in a state that doesn't recognize your business structure. So I believe that every business needs to have its own LLC. Now, you're going to go ahead and get your EIN. That's going to be your employer identification number. Someone is going to have to put their name and social to get the EIN. It's a free number with the IRS. Besides your business name making you high risk, your NAICS code is going to be the industry that your business is going to be categorized on. And when you get your EIN, the last question is going to say, what industry are you in? Whatever you check there, that is what determines what your NAICS code is going to be. So if I did J&J Solutions, but on my EIN, I click transportation, I just gave myself a high-risk industry NAICS code, and there is no changing the code once you get that. You next want to have your business bank account. To manage the cash flow of a business, I recommend having 4 business bank accounts. The first one's going to be your income account. All of your cash deposits, all your credit card deposits will go into this account. Your next account will be your expense account. All of your bills will come out of this account. All 4 accounts will be at the same bank, so you can kind of just do transfers. So you'll move the money either daily, weekly, monthly from your income account to your expense account, and you're going to write your bills, pay your bills out that expense account. Your third account is going to be for payroll. If you have employees, baby, your employees will play with you, okay? I've had employees make up fake checks with my account on them. I've had employees change $1,000 checks to $10,000 checks. What you don't want is for Keisha to change her $1,000 check to a $10,000 check, go to a check cashing place at midnight. The person who working there, boyfriend ain't answering the phone, so she ain't paying him. She blowing him up. She ain't paying attention, and she cashed the check. Now your account is negative $10,000. Guess who don't care? Your landlord, your vendor, your suppliers. Nobody wants to, but see what had happened was nobody wants to hear your problems. Everybody has their own. Okay, so it's your job as the owner to protect that income account. And then your last account will be for tax/savings. Every industry has peaks and valleys. Heavy cash flow months, skim months. During your heavy cash flow months, you want to make sure that we're putting some money aside so we can pull from a rainy day. Now, you also want to make sure that we're not commingling personal and business expenses. So ladies, that business card can't be for lashes, nails from Fashion Nova. And fellas, the card cannot be, for your haircuts. Only business expense come out the business account. If you need the money, transfer it to your personal account and then just swipe your card from there. Most states are going to require you to fill out some kind of LLC annual report to be able to keep your LLC active. If you don't, they're going to make your LLC inactive, which means you had an LLC, but it's inactive, so they're going to act like you don't have one. Now, if you get hit with a lawsuit, you're going to now lose your house, your car, the money in the bank. Now, forming your LLC is the first step, right? To keep the asset protection, to keep this, we now have to run our business like it's Walmart. So if you're in an industry that requires certain licenses, insurance permits, you got to have those licenses, insurance permits. You're also going to have what's called an operating agreement, a contract for your LLC. If your LLC is inactive, if you're commingling personal and business expenses, all of these things can what's called pierce the corporate veil, which means you weren't running your business correctly. So we're going to act like you ain't got one. And then now we're going to come after your stuff. S Corp. An S Corp is not a business entity, meaning you can't go form an S Corp. You can either have an LLC or a C Corp, but here's the thing. Neither an LLC or a C Corp have the best tax structure. An LLC is going to have a 15.3% self-employment tax. A C Corp has double taxation. So an S Corp doesn't have a self-employment tax and doesn't have double taxation. So to become an S Corp, what you're going to do is you're going to file a form 2553 with the IRS. Normally, you want to do this around once your business is making around 60 grand in profit, because to be an S Corp, number one, you're going to have to be on payroll with payroll taxes being taken out. And then now your business will file a separate business tax return, which will run you between $750 or $2,000. So when you're making about 50, 60 grand in profit, you want to then have your LLC or your C Corp taxed as an S Corp. You're still going to be an LLC or you're still going to be a C Corp entity-wise, but the IRS will just tax you as an S Corp. Now, one of the simplest ways of not being sued is to look like you don't have anything. Normally I use Puff Daddy, but that is not a good example right now. If Beyonce's Caravan ran into the back of your car, are you going to act like you aren't hurt, or are you going to fall out on the ground, say my neck and my back? What are y'all doing? What y'all doing? Y'all going to fall out, right? Why? Because you know Beyonce got some money. Now, if a 1975 Chevrolet Caprice on 2 tires and a hubcap, if that bumped you, are you even worried about it? Or you be like, I don't even have time to stop to even exchange information because I know you don't got nothing. One way of minimizing your lawsuits is that when people look you up, nothing comes up. So an anonymous LLC is going to be an LLC in a state that doesn't show the ownership of the business. There are 4 states that have an anonymous LLC. They're going to be, now hold on, slide. There. Wyoming, Delaware, Nevada, and New Mexico. As you see, all it's going to have is the business name, the registered agent, and the business address. That's all it's going to be on the anonymous LLC. So whenever someone's going to sue someone, the lawyer is going to look up the person that they want to sue. They're going to hire a personal investigator. What does the person have? Okay? If you're one of those lifestyle influencers and here's my Rolex and here's all my stuff, you are saying, come sue me. I'm a target. Come sue me. I'm a target. So they're going to be on your Instagram page. They're going to look to see are there any deeds of any real estate in your name. They're going to go look at the DMV. Are there any kind of vehicles in your name? They're going to go to the Secretary of State. Are there any businesses in your name? And the more it looks like you have, the more litigious, or the more people are like, yep, let's go ahead and sue her. We can get something, or pressure her to settle. So having an anonymous LLC will be, well, if someone were to go look up my business, they would know what I own. Now, if you choose to go file an LLC in the state that you're not doing business in, like if I live in California, but I choose to go file my LLC in Wyoming, I can. I just have to have a registered business in my home headquarters in the state that I'm doing business in. Every business has to have one corporate headquarters. So I would have to file my Wyoming LLC as a foreign LLC in California. So a foreign LLC is just an out-of-state LLC doing business in another state. Another reason why you may want to have a foreign LLC is so if I were to have moved, okay, so let's just say I had my business in California for 5 years and then I moved to New York. If I form a brand new LLC, I'm going to lose all of my corporate age. But I can register my California LLC in New York as a foreign LLC, and then now I keep my corporate age. Or tomorrow when Dion gets here, he may say, hey, y'all, there's this new bank in Nebraska, and they are giving brand new businesses some money. If you ain't got a Nebraska LLC, you can't go into Nebraska into the bank and get any funding. But you can take your LLC and register it in Nebraska as a foreign LLC, and now you have opened your business up to all of the banks in that state. So those would be the 3 main reasons why you would have a foreign LLC. You are going to have to keep your original LLC and the foreign LLC active, meaning filing those annual reports and paying those annual fees. Another structure that we can use to protect ourselves is going to be a trust. Now, here's the thing. There are a whole bunch of different names of trusts, but there's just 2 different types of trust. Okay, a trust is just going to be a contract, a piece of paper. But the benefit is, number 1, it's private. Okay, so I can't go Google and see, well, what Jamar got in his trust, what he got. I can't, it's a private document. I can't see it. Okay. Now, the two types of trust are going to be revocable or irrevocable. Revocable or irrevocable. The most common trust is going to be a revocable trust. This trust allows you to put an asset in the trust, and then I can say, ooh, just kidding, and I can take the asset out. I still have control over the asset. Because I still have control over the asset, a revocable living trust does not give me any asset protection while I'm alive. A revocable living trust does not give you any asset protection while you are alive. Now, I know on social media, on the pretty grass, it's going to say the trust owns the whole, they're going to say all that, okay? You got to know what each thing does. Now, how a revocable living trust does protect you is unlike a will that has to go through probate court before you get the asset. If you put your assets in a revocable living trust upon your death, your beneficiaries immediately get those assets. So a will has to go through probate court. In probate court, it's going to be probate fees, attorney fees. It's going to take about 6 months to a year until it's probated. If nucking them is knucking and bucking and cussing and fussing and that's going to delay the process. And that's how assets get lost in probate court. They're tied up and no one can touch grandma's money to pay that mortgage. And now we lose grandma's house. We're in a revocable living trust. Upon your death, your heirs immediately get your assets, but you don't have any kind of asset protection. The bulletproof trust is going to be what's called an irrevocable living trust. This trust, once you put an asset in there, it is good as gold. Okay? But once you put an asset in there, you no longer can touch it either. So you can't say, ooh, just kidding. I need to go get an equity line of credit. I can't touch the asset either. Well, then who would want to have a trust where I can't touch anything? Well, one benefit is going to be you can rule from the grave, meaning you can put constraints on how your heirs are going to use the assets. If anyone has kids like mine, if I die, my son is selling everything, baby, and buying a car, an electric bike, Robux, the whole nine, right? So you can put parameters. You can't sell any of my assets until you're 30. You can only get X amount of money until you're this age. So you can rule from the grave in an irrevocable living trust. Another benefit is the assets will remain your heirs' separate property. Okay? So, if anyone was like me, if your kids like me and didn't have the best judgment of who they married. Okay, Sandra has a son and Sandra's son done married a little gold digger. And they about to get divorced. And she said, oh, I'm about to get all of Sandra's Airbnb property. No, you're not, sis. It's going to remain Sandra's son's separate property. So even in a divorce, they won't lose it. So what most people do is they'll have a revocable living trust for privacy reasons while they're living. And then upon their death, they'll have a phrase in there saying, I would like this to become an irrevocable trust upon my death. So that way they have the best of both worlds. So revocable trust, you can change things. You can, move the assets around. You don't get any kind of asset protection. In irrevocable trust, there is asset protection, but you can't touch or move or control the property. So because you can't control the property, most business owners don't want to put their business or their assets in that kind of trust, because in business, you got to zig and zag. Right? Something always happening. You may gonna move some property over here and get a collateral loan. Just stuff be happening in business. So another way we can protect our assets in a business is by using what's called a holding company, okay? So a holding company is only going to be as another LLC, another corporation, another entity, but it's going to own the assets. It's going to own your trademarks, your vehicles, your real estate. You'll have a separate LLC as your operating LLC doing the business. Whatever is the entity doing the business, entering into contracts, getting loans, is the one that can be sued. So if I have Joy's Airbnb, I would own my property in my holding company. I would sign the lease, do the business in my operating company. If my tenant were to slip and fall, break their neck and sue me, I'll lose whatever cash flow I have, but I won't lose my hard asset. This is what's called asset protection, taking the assets out of the operating business and separating them. So one entity will own the assets. The other entity will do the business with the public. The public knows nothing about the holding company. The holding company is not getting any kind of business credit. It's not getting any kind of debt. It's not doing anything but owning the asset. So there will be a lease agreement between the holding company and the operating company saying, hey, you can use this property. Every single month, your operating company will pay your holding company a lease fee to use the asset. There will be a separate lease agreement between the tenant and your operating company. And by separating our assets from the operation of the business, they are going to be good against any kind of lawsuits. Another way of structuring your business will be with a parent company. So a holding company owns assets. A parent company owns businesses. A holding company owns assets. A parent company owns businesses. So think of it as like an umbrella company. If you want a simple business structure, you can just own all of your businesses just separate. I call this the bubbles formation, or you can have one business own all of your subsidiaries or your baby businesses. Well, who wants to do all of that? If you are wanting to have a more complex structure, you want to make sure that all of your corporate formalities, your LLC is active, you have the proper insurances, licenses, and permits, you're not commingling your funds, you have your operating agreement. You want to make sure all of that is happening down here at the baby. If we aren't following our corporate formalities and this gets pierced, they're coming up to the mama company and now they can get everything. Okay, so we have to be on our P's and Q's if you want this business structure. Now, one reason why you may have this structure is, let's just say that you are in a high risk industry. Before you came and got this class, you already had your LLC and you are Joy's High Risk Real Estate Investment LLC. And we can't change any of that, but if I change the ownership, if I form a parent company and I have my parent company own my high risk industry, I can take the profits of the high risk industry and move them to my parent company via a management fee, and then I can go get funding off the off the parent company. I can use the cash flow from the high risk industry, push it up to the parent company, and then get funding from the parent company. If I have multiple businesses and I want to be on payroll on all my businesses, I can just move my payroll to one company and then just take payroll from my one parent company. If I'm trying to get business funding and on their own, each business doesn't qualify. So let's just say I got to have $10,000 in monthly revenue. Maybe on their own, they don't have 10 apiece, but together they do have $10,000. I could move the profits up to the parent company via a management fee, and then I can go get funding off the parent company. So if we put all of this stuff together, you would own a trust. It would be a revocable living trust, no asset protection, but it does give you privacy. Your trust would own your parent company. Your parent company will own your baby company or your subsidiaries. And your holding company is always off to the side, not connected. So if there's any litigation down here, your assets are still secure. For anyone who's in real estate, you do want to separate any kind of passive income from active income. Passive income means we just have tenants coming in paying us rent. Active income is if we're going to do wholesaling, any kind of fix and flips. If anyone is doing fix and flips, it's very litigious, okay? We got contractor disputes, we got sub disputes. So we don't want to combine those different types of property. I would separate the active income from the passive income. If we do have rental real estate, you can own all of your entities, all your real estate. You can own them in one, and then you can collect the rent in another entity. So you don't want to collect the rent and own the house in that same entity. If the tenant were to slip and fall, they would sue you, and then you would be able to lose the actual house. So there will be a holding company to own your rental property, and your management company will be able to sign the lease with your tenant, collect the rent. We're separating the operation of the business from the ownership of the asset. Now, when you are first starting, when you are growing, there's going to be a time in your business when you're self-funding your business, okay? It is what it is. Maybe you got to cover payroll. Maybe you are working on a net 30, a net 60 where you have to do the work, but you get paid 60 days later. You may have to float the business some money. We don't want to put money in our business without categorizing what that money is. If I take 50 grand from my personal account and put it in my business account, it's going to be deemed as income, and now I'm paying a tax on money I just moved from one account to the next. So you want to either notate the money that you're putting in on either an LLC contribution agreement or an LLC loan agreement. An LLC contribution agreement is going to be, I'm putting $10,000 in the business. I don't need to be paid back. I'm just putting it in like an investment. Or I could put $10,000 in, like, no, once the business makes money, I want to get paid back. Either or, at the end of the year, you're going to give your LLC, either your capital contribution agreement or your loan agreement to your CPA or to your accountant. And if I have 100 grand in my account, they know, well, 10 of that was really a loan. So I'm going to assess taxes on the 90,000, not the full 100,000. So you want to make sure that we are categorizing our income correctly. Now, if you are a LLC not taxed as an S Corp, you're going to pay yourself via what's called a distribution, meaning you're going to just take the money from your business account and just move it to your personal account. We're not going to deduct what you pay yourself because an LLC is considered what's called a pass-through entity, meaning the owner pays the taxes on the profits of the business. So it doesn't matter how much you pay yourself, you're going to pay a tax on the profits anyway. If you are an S Corp, you're going to be on payroll. So your actual paycheck and your payroll taxes will be a tax deduction, and you can now subtract what you pay yourself from your net profit. Here is the benefits. By being able to be on payroll, which eventually you do want to be on payroll for your business. I always say, whatever you want to pay yourself, cut it in half. Take half on a W-2 and then take half as a distribution. That way you aren't paying a payroll tax on all of your salary. But $100,000 with just all the self-employment tax, you'd be paying about 36 grand in taxes, versus if you split your salary in a W-2 and then distribution, you'll be paying less in taxes, okay? Because you don't have to have that self-employment tax on all of your profits. So once you start making money, it's so much easier to get approved for financing, for cars, for real estate. When you walk in as an employee of the business, here's my paycheck, here's my proof of income. It's so much easier to get funding like that, to get approved for homes and cars versus having to now open up all your business stuff. So tax-wise, an LLC does not file a separate tax return if it's a single member LLC. So if you're the only member of your LLC, you are going to just file a separate form, a Schedule C, with your personal tax return. So you and your business file your taxes together. So if you have an LLC, you and your business file your taxes together on one return. If you are a multi-member LLC, if me and Beyonce had a lip gloss company, we would then have to file what's called a partnership tax return or a 1065. That's a business tax return. Whatever are the profits of the business, you'll get what's called a K1. A K1 is going to be like a 1099 form. So if we made $100,000, I would get a K1 for 50 grand and Beyonce would get a K1 for 50 grand. We file our K1 with our personal tax return. So our business tax return is going to be due on either March 15th or September 15th. And then our personal return will be due on April 15th or October 15th if I had the extension. Same with an S Corp. We're going to file an 1120S tax return. The business files a return before the personal. Whatever are the profits or the losses, you'll get a K1 and then you file that with your personal return. So an LLC and an S Corp is a pass-through entity, meaning the profits and the losses pass through to the owner and you file that on your personal tax return. Now, if there's anyone in here who does not need to have any extra income, maybe you are on disability, you're on SSI, you have a child that gets government assistance for some kind of medical care. You're in the NFL retired and you can't make more than blah, blah, blah. Then you want to choose to have a C Corp for your business structure. Okay. Yes, you're going to pay more in taxes, but a C Corp is not a pass-through entity, meaning the income and the expenses stay at the business level. So if you have any kind of income constraints or you're trying to get financial aid for your child and your 9-to-5 job gives you enough income, you will qualify with your 9-to-5 job, but if your business income is going to disqualify you, you don't want that income coming to you, then you want to have a C Corp. And then last but not least, business grants. Business grants are a great way of getting free money into your business. There's no credit check. Most of them don't require any kind of financials, no tax returns, no P&L statement. You can have a criminal history and apply for business grants. Most of the applications are going to be online and simple to fill out. You want to have an LLC, EIN, and business bank account. They are not going to cash out you the grant. But to make your business stand out, you want to have a branded email address, info@yourbusinessname.com. Okay, you don't want to have Gmail, Yahoo, iCloud. All of those are considered personal email addresses. Okay, so if I am Joy, the CEO at gmail.com, this is what your business looks like. You have the bonnet on your business. You are not about to get funding. You are not about to get a grant because you don't look like a real business. Okay, so go to GoDaddy.com and get a real business email. You also want to have either a website, a landing page. When they Google your business, something needs to pop up. Something needs to pop up. And then you want to have your own business social media, a separate page that has just your business information on there, okay? Yes, you can promote your business on your personal page, but you and Tukey may be two-stepping this weekend, and we don't want the grim reviewer to see that fun side of you. We want them to see that nice professional side, okay? So you want to get have your own separate business social media. Now, they're going to ask you what kind of problem does your business solve? What makes your business unique? How are you going to use the money? What do you need the money for? The number one reason why people don't win business grants is they're asking for the wrong thing. Okay? Number one, making your business sound poor. I don't have no clients. I'm not making no money. Can you come give me some free money? No. I want to catch up on bills. Can I get a grant? No. I want just some extra money. Baby, it's called business. No. So ask yourself, what does my business need right now to make more money in 30 days? If it's getting some kind of equipment, ask for equipment. If it's hiring someone to work your business, answer the phone, do your emails so you can take more clients, ask for payroll for others. If you're mobile and then you getting an actual storefront will have you more foot traffic, ask for rent. Ask for what's going to make you more money in 30 days. So where can you find grants? I have a grant bundle on my website. You can Google business grants. You can go to helloalice.com, skip.com, grantwatch.gov. There are multiple sites that have grants. Y'all, homework for tonight is going to be to apply for the Galaxy of Star grant. Okay? This grant's going to be due on December 31st for $2,025. Give me a 1 if you can enter your name, your first and last name. Can everyone do that? Okay, bet. Can we now enter our email address? Give me a 2 if you have enough time to enter your email. Okay, great. We can keep on going. Give me a 3 in the comments if you can click this drop down button and choose what your ethnicity is. Okay, we got some 3s. Bet. Give me a 4 in the comments if you can click whether you are male or female or prefer not to say. Bet. Okay, give me a 5 if you can say either I want to start a business or I currently have a... Baby, that's your grant. That's the grant. So before y'all say, well, I mean, I'm not good at writing and I don't know what to... That's the entire grant application for a free $2,000. Give me a me in the comments if you could use an extra $2,025 and you don't got to pay it back. They're not going to ask for your credit score. They're not going to ask for your last 2 years of tax returns. I'm going to drop that link for that grant. Your homework tonight is to apply for the Galaxy of Star grants, $2,025. That grant is available every single month. So if you don't get it this month, we're going to try again next month. It's free and that's it. So that is my class for tonight. What y'all think? Give me a bank in the comments if you feel more confident in how we're going to structure our business. Give me a bank in the comments if you now understand, like, hey, I kind of have some assets. I may need to kind of do some kind of, business structure planning. Give me a bank in the comments and now you understand why you need to have an LLC. And why you may need to have more than just one. Okay, I think we good to go. So are we doing questions, JD, or are we going to the other room? Are we going to the upper room?
Nah, I don't think. What time is it? Nah, we'll do some questions in a little while. Let's get to some stuff. We'll come back up in a little while for some Q&A. What's up, y'all? What is going on? Hey, y'all, how is that? Let me know, how is that, family? Y'all ready to get to the bank? I know y'all ready to get to the bank, family. Man, shout out to Joy. Shout out to Kim. Shout out to that dude, JD. Who came, look at the flames, the money. Let's go. All right, family, here's what we're going to do. We'll probably get to some questions in a little bit. But it is time. Like, it is time. How many of you are like truly excited about 2026? Let me know in the chat. How many of y'all are truly excited about 2026? How many of y'all?
If y'all want to learn something, you want to comment bank. Who's TikTok? You want to click link in my bio or message me the word bank. I'm having a free class on Thursdays and Sundays how to get your business to the bank. Instagram, you want to just comment bank, or you want to click link in my bio for my free masterclass on Sundays and Thursdays on how to properly structure, fund, and get your business to the bank, okay? I have to get back onto the Zoom, but you want to either comment bank or click the link in the bio. And baby, let's get to this bank. Bye. TikTok, you can't comment TikTok. You got to message me bank or click link in my bio. I stay at some lipstick on my teeth. Okay, now I got to get back.
One run where you just commit everything, like you give it everything that you got. One run could set you up for the rest of your life. So here's what's going to happen, family. Here's what's going to happen, right? We are supposed to, I want to ask y'all for permission. So we are supposed to go into another Zoom room so we can break down everything that is included in this mentorship that we are going to be offering to you guys. But y'all, we got a lot of people who got approved. If you was approved, somebody type approved in the chat. If you was approved, somebody type approved in the chat.